Spending time thinking about how to write a proper headline that will get people to actually open up your article or your page is really important. So, here are some basic tips to remember whenever you write a headline. Make it unique, make it specific, make it useful, create a sense of urgency, and keep it as short as possible. It's hard to have all of these in one heading, but let's look at some examples so you know what we're talking about. I'm a huge personal finance nerd. I love reading articles about personal finance. I just can't get enough of it. And I follow this blog called Rockstar Finance. It's an aggregate blog. It picks the best articles every day and shares them all on one page. And then it keeps sort of a list of the latest and greatest articles. When going through their list, I see lots of articles that are not unique, lots of articles that seem the same as things I've read before. Some aren't specific, so this is kind of an example of what not to do. For example, this title right here, if you can afford a vacation, you can afford to invest. It's obvious, and I'm not really going to get anything more out of reading this article. It doesn't add anything, it doesn't build any curiosity. This one right here, short, sweet, do you need that? It builds curiosity. It's not specific and it's not really helpful or beneficial. I don't really know what it's about, so it's not using all of the tips, but I'm intrigued. Should you pay off your mortgage early? This is a question that's popular among personal finance aficionados. It does build a lot of curiosity, but it's not that unique. This has been rehashed over and over. So let's look at a few that I thought did really well. Here's an article that uses a headline that is very unique. More Than Books, 9 Unusual Things You Can Borrow from the Public Libraries. First, using lists is a popular technique. It's still popular. People have been using sort of the 9 tips and 7 things kind of list articles for a while. People still are clicking on these types of articles a lot. And this is something that is unique. It's not something that I've thought about before. It's not something that I've seen online before. And after being online for many years, there's not that many things that are unique anymore. So having this sort of uniqueness in the headline helps. Let's look at another example about being specific. How much would you have if you saved $1 a day for your entire life? That headline builds my curiosity, and it's very specific and it's unique. So it's hitting a lot of those tips that I mentioned. And keep in mind, these tips are great for writing articles and blogs, but also for headlines for your copy, even if you're sending out emails. They all kind of work the same. Here's a headline that is just completely useful. How to get started with live streaming video production. This is from Pat Flynn, Smart Passive Income. He spoke with Caleb Wojcik, someone who I've actually partnered with. And this is actually a headline for a video blog article, but it's just completely useful. Anyone that's wanting to get started with live streaming video, this is an article that calls out to them. Next, let's look at an article that builds a sense of urgency. 4 best ways to invest in your 20s. So this isn't your typical headline that's 4 things that you need to know right now or you're going to lose out. It's more subtle than that, but this article is geared to people in 20s, and it does build that sense of urgency for someone in their 20s who wants to invest. Investing in itself is kind of urgent. If you're not investing now, then you're wasting time. So that's why this works really well for this title. But it's pretty simple. 4 best ways to invest in your 20s. It builds that sense of urgency for at least for people interested in personal finance. And that's who their target audience is. So it works. Lastly, let's look at Reddit to sort of explore this idea of shorter titles being better. Reddit is the self-claimed homepage of the internet. It basically is a feed of all the popular posts from today. Articles, videos, photos, anything that's sort of timely and relevant. So if I'm on this page, my eyes are automatically drawn to the shorter titles. Cannonball, Don't Leave Me. Scroll down. Suddenly, Landshark, Ivanka Trump, quoting Einstein. These longer ones, my eyes kind of just glaze over them. Not that they're bad headlines, but when you're looking online, when you're searching on Google, when you're on any sort of search engine, people's eyes will be drawn to these shorter headlines. So again, it's kind of this hard balance between all of these tips that I'm talking about. But when you're searching online, just pay attention to the length of the headlines that you actually click on, or at least initially are drawn to. I'll bet that most of them are shorter than these really long ones. So keep all these tips in mind as you write your copy and articles.